David Lanier is an Albany native who is a leading figure in contemporary and wildlife art. His landscape paintings transport viewers into the untamed beauty of his native southwest Georgia, a region that is popular with hunters and dog enthusiasts. In his work, Lanier demonstrates his deep love of nature and the enduring traditions connected to it. Beauty in the Humble Places is a retrospective of Lanier's work that dates back to his youth. It is on exhibition in the Haley Gallery of the Albany Museum of Art through January 4th, 2025. In an interview at his studio in West Dougherty County, Lanier spoke with the AMA's Jim Hendricks about his career and his approach to art. David, I appreciate you talking with us this afternoon.
Certainly.
What led you to a career in art?
Well, Jim, when I was a kid, I loved to color and coloring books, and that's about the extent of my art as a youngster. But in 10th grade, I took an art class in high school in the 10th grade, and we watched a video of Andrew Wyeth. It was a documentary of Andrew Wyeth and his artwork, and he maintained a studio, or two studios, one in Pennsylvania and one in Maine. And this film just showed a lot of his artwork, and he painted the neighbors around him, the landscapes on their property, and that sort of thing. But this was back in, I saw that probably back around 1978 or so. And this was long before personal computers and work from home jobs. But watching that video of him painting in his home studio, I thought, it would really be cool if I didn't have to put on a coat and tie and go sit in an office. And if I could just stay at home and paint the things that I wanted to paint. And if were to have a future family, I thought it'd be the coolest thing just to be able to work from home and watch my children grow up. And unfortunately, that's the way it worked out.
Yeah, yeah, that office grind can wear you down after a long time.
It just wasn't for me. I knew that.
Tell me a little bit about your early career.
I went to the Ringling School of Art down in Sarasota, Florida back in 1982, graduated in 1985. At the time, I didn't know a whole lot about the art market at all. I really kind of went into school just thinking I want to be an artist, but I didn't know what to do with it. And I thought to make a living in art that you had to study commercial art or something, that would pay the bills regularly. So I studied book illustration, and when I graduated from college, I illustrated books and magazines for about 5 or 6 years. But I found out as soon as I graduated, I was a freelance artist working from home, and I realized that uh, even though I had a new degree in art, I was up against people that had been doing this for 20 and 30 years as professionals, and we were competing for the same jobs from the publishers.
And they weren't giving them up.
No, no. And so what I did was I found that it was easier to get jobs from low budget publications. Often they were just magazines printed in black and white rather than color. They didn't pay that well, but I kind of used that as on-the-job training to learn how to paint. I was getting paid. I was getting paid to do what I enjoyed doing, and I worked with books and magazines and a little bit of advertising art. And then once I felt like I kind of started getting the hang of painting 5 or 6 years down the road, then that's when I made the decision to kind of leave the illustration business and pursue a career in fine arts.
And you said that was at a wildlife art festival or wildlife, or you just decided to switch gears?
That's right. I was married to my wife, Kathy, and we received an invitation from some friends in Jacksonville, Florida, to go to the Southeastern Wildlife Expo up in Charleston, South Carolina. And it was a 4-day art show. Some of the best wildlife artists from around the country, even a few internationally. And we went to this exhibit in Charleston, South Carolina. And we walked in this big ballroom that all the art was displayed, and I walked around, and they were paintings of nature and wildlife and all the things that really appealed to me. And within 10 or 15 minutes of being at that show, I told Kathy, I said, I'd much rather be doing this than the illustration business. So we went home on that Monday, and the next day on Tuesday, I called all my publishers, all the clients that I was doing work for, and I told them, I said, I quit. Don't send me any more work. And I literally just quit it that day and started painting wildlife the next day.
Yeah, that was a pretty big leap of faith just to give up your career that you knew for basically kind of an unknown, I
Yeah,
would expect.
you know, it, I don't know if I was too young to know any better, or if it was just something that meant to be, it was just meant to be. But um, everything worked out for the good, and I never regretted leaving the illustration business.
And with all your landscapes and hunting paintings and such, uh, I guess you've always had a pretty strong love for nature.
Yeah, fortunately, I had parents that uh, uh, taught me to love the outdoors and nature, even when I was a kid. I was in Boy Scouts. I went camping. Mom and dad both loved fishing, and we canoed the Flint River countless times. Um, I enjoyed duck hunting and quail hunting and that sort of thing as a kid. So when I started painting wildlife, all those things just kind of surfaced, and I was able to, paint the things that I enjoy and love so much.
Well, I know you mentioned Wyeth a while ago. Who are some of the artists who have influenced you over the years?
Uh, Andrew Wyatt to begin with, his work was mostly watercolor, and the first few paintings that I did outside of the illustration business were indeed watercolors, kind of in his style, but not near as good. But then later, um, when I was starting to paint more of the wildlife, there's really two artists that were big influences. They're both still living. One is a Canadian artist named Robert Bateman. He's in his 90s now, but still painting incredible work. I've got a lot of his books in my collections. There's also a bird artist named Ray Harris Ching that lives in New Zealand. He's, I would guess he's probably in his 80s now, but still producing some beautiful work.
Speaking of your work, tell me a little bit about the process that you go through. I mean, I guess a lot of people think you just sit down at a canvas and start creating. What's the creative process for you?
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of maybe a misconception that a lot of people have about artists. Sometimes, they just think you just go up to your studio and sit down and start painting, and this beautiful painting magically appears. But it's really far from that. The first step is taking a field trip out in nature with my camera. Um, I'll take, I'll just look for things like the way light hits those stand-up pine trees, or maybe a shape of a big live oak or something like that. And I'll take a photograph or a lot of photographs, and then each painting usually begins with a series of pencil drawings. And in these just small pencil drawings, they may not take 20 minutes a piece or so, but I'll move things around in there to create a better composition than maybe how it appeared, outdoors. And then, especially if I'm planning on doing a large painting, I'll go from the small black and white sketches to doing maybe something like a 6x8 postcard size uh, painting of what the final painting is going to look like. Uh, During that little color study, I may change the color of the sky a time or two, and just do some things kind of experimentally to make the overall color or mood of the painting, more just to make it better, or experiment with different things. Um, if I make any changes, I want to do it on a small scale rather than getting into the big painting and then realize, oh, that sky color doesn't look good with this. So it's a lot like a blueprint for building a house. It goes through a thought process visually. You make corrections and alterations, and then by the time I'm ready to do a large painting, I have a good sense of where I'm going with the painting.
And people that go to see your exhibition, there are several areas in there where they can actually see the transition from drawings, sometimes into the color study, and then into the final work. So um, I know a lot of the kids, like I said, that come through on the tours have seen how you build from nothing to something that looks photorealistic. I mean, I assume you consider yourself a realism.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, realist. If I can say that,
yeah.
that's one thing we wanted to do with the exhibit was to make it informative and educational rather than just a collection of paintings. So beside a lot of these paintings, you'll see maybe two or three different black and white drawings of my thought process. Like there's one of some ducks on a log, and I explored putting the ducks at different positions on a log, uh, what to eliminate in the background and that sort of thing. And then some of the paintings have the small 6x8 color studies next to them as well. So you can see, how I was experimenting with the color before I went to the final painting.
Is there anything that you hope somebody who goes to see your exhibition takes away with them? I mean, some thought or anything that maybe more respect for nature. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Um, if I could leave people with anything from my artwork, I like to say that my purpose as an artist is I'm a reminder. I remind people how beautiful nature is, or at least that's what I try to do. Um, I see beauty everywhere. I'm overwhelmed by it. The title of the exhibit at the museum is Beauty in the Humble Places. And that's taken from a quote from the French artist Camille Pissarro. I'm going to try to get the quote right. He said, Blessed are those who see beauty in the humble places where others see nothing. And, a lot of times we get so busy and wrapped up in life and careers and family and so forth that we just drive past it. You know, we, we're not looking out the windows at nature and, or if we are, maybe we're not getting out in nature and enjoying it. But I just see beauty everywhere. It's overwhelming. Some people talk about artist block. I've got thousands of paintings in my head. I'll never live long enough to paint everything that I want to. But that's what I want to do. I just want to remind people, that the best artwork doesn't hang on a wall. The best artwork is when we go outside and look at the sky, watch the clouds blow over, watch the trees move, smell the flowers. You know, that's the ultimate artwork.
Tell me how you felt the first time you walked into the exhibition and saw all those years of drawings and paintings, all the way from grade school to last week.
you know, um, Katie Dillard, as curator, she and Sydney hung a lot of the artwork, and they. Katie said, "I don't want you to see it until it's all hung." And she called me and told me that they had finished hanging it, and I said, can you give me and my wife at least half an hour just to kind of take it in when we get there? And just, I'd like to have that minute alone, those minutes alone with her. So we walked in, and I mean, I'll be honest, I got emotional seeing it. And I mean, there's literally work from every single decade of my life, and I'm 62 now. And just seeing all that, it's years worth of work on the walls, and just to see it all in one place. I've never seen it, like that before. I'd create a painting and would sell it and would ship it, but to see them all together in one place and just realize, how much time was involved in that, and all the emotions that were felt as I was painting it, the different places I've been, the people I've met. It's just all really hit me, and we just needed a few private moments to kind of just take it all in.
I really appreciate you taking some time to talk with me, David.
And I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.